All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Strong Life Podcast. It has been ages since dinosaurs roamed the earth that I've done a video podcast, but my man Coop from Garage Gym Reviews, he convinced me. He said he's got the high-speed internet, and we're going to make it happen. So, Coop, welcome to the show, my man.
Thanks for having me. You forgot to mention one of the reasons we're going to do this is because we look so good on video.
That's right.
I don't think it would do it justice just to do a podcast. So the video, I think, really helps it.
Well, I fear that the internet will now sue us for being too handsome.
Yeah.
So,
I haven't had that happen yet. So.
Well, you never know, right? Every time I say something that's like a little bit of like a nudge, I'm like, now the internet will sue me, and there's always like one person thinks it's funny, so that's good. Now, a couple months ago we chatted. I think I was texting you about getting rust off of a barbell because I had gotten hired as a full-time strength coach at a high school, and I was like, Coop, I am digging into all the de-rusting, gym equipment videos, and at the end of the conversation, I was like, hey, man, give me a shout if I could help you with anything. And you're like, it would be my dream to be on your podcast. I thought you put that so eloquently.
Yeah, well, Zach, I've followed you for a long time. You're kind of like the guys who know, like Sornex, they have a phrase. It's the go-to guys for the go-to guys. Zach is the go-to guy for the go-to guys. People that know Zach.
That's amazing.
You're not like this huge, famous guy,
right?
But the guys who understand strength, they know Zach, and so I've followed you for years, and so I thought it'd be awesome.
Yes.
I'm honored to be here right now. This is very cool for me.
That is great. I didn't even think of that phrase that the Sornex guys use.
You should steal it.
I'm gonna steal it from them, but I'm gonna tell you a Sornex story, and we're gonna have a lot of stories. My first squat rack was from Sornex. When so the beginning of the training was out of my parents' garage. Then, and you and I are going to be same wavelength. When my fiance and I were looking for houses, all that was secretly on my mind was, I don't care where we live as long as there's a 2-car garage.
That's right.
I never publicly announced to her, right? So anytime there was a detached 2-car garage, I was like, this house is amazing. It's beautiful. Even if it was not, I was so willing to, sell my soul to the devil so I could set up a garage. So we buy a first house, fixer-upper, and we had to gut the entire house. But the first thing that we fixed and redid was the 2-car garage. So beautiful. I was starting the business in the 2-car garage before I was even married. And the first squat rack I bought was from Bert, and I was following them in the early days. And so when I traded that squat rack eventually for another Sornex squat rack, ironically, I got depressed. So you know how that feels.
Yeah.
Like you get separation. Yeah, you get separation anxiety. These are things that you're very familiar with like all the vintage equipment. Like a month ago, I was about to buy a pair of 45 and 25 Jackson deep dish plates, and then the guy was like, I can't do it. And it's like a movie, it's like a movie. Like the guy's about to get married, and then he's like, I can't do it. So I was like, it's okay. I don't hold it against you. I would have probably not been able to sell it myself either. So all the separation anxiety, and I'm still upset that I traded my original Sornex squat rack. Coop, you never saw a custom color. I told Bert that I love military green, but I said, I'm going to let you guys kind of do your thing. I don't want to tell the artist how to do it. So I said, I need military green. And I said, I had a low ceiling in the garage. So I said, can you guys custom height this half rack? And then maybe put the holes up high so when I move out of this garage, I could move the pull-up bar higher.
Nice.
And so they sent it was like a military green with like these gold specks. Dude,
really?
It was a 3x3 half rack. And I remember I had it delivered to my dad's business, which was in Irvington, which is like the murder capital of New Jersey. So drove that thing back, and I just remember when now, back then, it was a one-person gig. Now putting together these big squat racks like what you've got in your garage,
Yeah.
I think I have the same one in my one location. I needed a teammate to help me put the rack together, and he had the what's the gun called?
The hammer drill.
Hammer drill. And
Yeah.
we needed I tried doing it
Oh,
on my own.
they're nice, dude.
I couldn't do it on my own.
See, I've always done it by hand.
Yep.
And when I first got, I think it was my Sornex rack, Dan McKim had come down. He's one of their sales reps.
Yep,
awesome guy. Yeah, Dan, dude, one of the greatest guys I've ever met.
Mr. Twinkies
so kind.
2020.
Yeah, dude. Oh, yeah. Well, he showed up, and he was going to help me put the rack together and talk about it, everything like that. And he brought one of the drills. He's like, yeah, we use these on location all the time.
Yes.
And I'm like, I've never even thought about that because I've been hand cranking these all the time.
Sure.
And they use those fat 1-inch bolts, and you use those, even if it just takes forever.
It's a monster.
He gets up there and just like a NASCAR pit stop, puts it together real quick. But yeah, those drills are helpful.
They are helpful. So let's get into some of the history because you and I are history buffs. There's a story behind everything. Want to get into the history behind Garage Gym Reviews, and we're going to kick it off like this. So yesterday, we saw Donnie Thompson post. He always gives you a little nudge on Instagram. He has he's like the sweetest guy, but sometimes his sense of humor can really like punch you, right?
Yeah, he's a punk.
He gets a little bit punky. It's so fun. I can hear him laughing when he makes laughing
while he's smoking a cigar.
That's right. So he had a photo of, I guess, a pickup that he got of some old, it was called the Cybex Eagle equipment. I think he had Paramount. And he's like, Coop, this is before, you had beard hair.
Facial hair, yeah.
Facial hair. So you're like, actually, my dad owned a gym, and I've seen that stuff. And I was like, I did not know that your father owned the gym. So let's get back. Let's start right there. Like, what do you knowledge that you recall as a kid when your dad started the gym? Was the gym started before you were born? How did that whole thing happen?
Yeah. So the apple doesn't fall very far from the tree. The way I got into gym equipment and strength training, that sort of thing, is I was kind of born into it. My dad had a garage gym in the exact same garage that I currently have my garage in because we bought my parents' house. So the exact same garage. I remember my dad he used only one stall. I use all three stalls. He would only use one. He couldn't
3-car garage is very rare.
That's a 3-car garage, yeah. So, and my dad, he had a supplement business. He had a gym for a little while, but then he ended up training people elsewhere. But he's also a power lifter. He had a 750-pound squat at 220. It was a Missouri state record for not very long, couple months. I always mess with him on that. But my dad was extremely strong, was around, like he helped host meets. He had a welder who would like design equipment. So his gym equipment he had in his garage was all custom made. I'm not that old. Like I said in that post with Donnie, I was born in the 90s. But I've been entrenched in this stuff since I was a little kid. I've been around equipment, been around supplements, been around training. There's actually a story of my dad was in Texas for a powerlifting meet. It was a collegiate nationals.
What year?
And it was
80s?
80s, yep, mid 80s, early 80s. And this was before Mark Ripito had a name.
Sure.
And this guy comes up to him. He looks, disheveled, hasn't shaved in a while, just doesn't look very good. And he's like, I don't have any money. I need a place to stay. I'm here for the meet. Like, do you guys have a room I could stay in? Well, turns out it was Mark Ripito. Mark Ripito had asked him to stay. He stayed in his room for the night. They never talked again. Well, years later, I was in high school and I was reading Starting Strength. And so I had this book, and he's like, who wrote that book? My dad asked me, who wrote that book? I said, Mark Ripito. He goes, where do I know that name? He's like, that's the guy who asked me. So I pulled up a picture. He's like, that's him. That's Mark Ripito. So, yeah. And my dad, I've got so many videos of Ed Cohen. My dad had trained with Dennis Wright out of Oklahoma, who just a really powerful powerlifter at the time. He trained around all those guys. I've got Westside Barbell Deadlift Secrets,
yes,
VHS tapes, all that stuff. USA Powerlifting magazines, used to filter the coffee tables as I grew up. So I've been around this for quite a while, although it hasn't been my main gig for quite a while. But it's something that I was born into, and I absolutely love is strength training. Yeah,
the 80s was a very interesting time with the gym. So my older brother, 2.5 years older than me, he was very much into this fitness and training. And in our area, there were a good, number of these kind of what we would call mom and pop gym. And the one main like tough gym from the 80s, the guy welded everything together. And that was supposedly a common thing for gym owners in the 80s. So I recall if a dumbbell broke, he'd go in the back, put up a curtain, and you'd see the flame, like he'd just weld it and fix it. And
Hardcore,
this gym was, the only thing they had was deep dish Ivanko plates. So you were always hearing the plates rumbling. And to me, that's something that a lot of people miss today because bumper plates have kind of been the thing. And I used to do my homework at the juice bar. And I remember the guy was like working the juice bar. He's like doing your homework here, huh, kid? I was like, yeah. I think I was like 15. He's like, I get it. Just got to be amongst the weights, right? I was like, yeah, that's it. And I would hear plates rumbling, plates dropping. So that was a very special time. There was also so much camaraderie, I feel, in the 80s. People, would speak to each other in gyms because they didn't have headphones. So your dad starts in the garage, then he opens his own facility?
Yeah, he had his own facility for, I think, a really short period of time, and one of the main reasons was because he was also a supplement distributor,
For
and
what,
so he'd sell supplements out of there.
Company? What supplement or all supplements?
I think
Cybergenics.
I think it was Champion. No, I think it was Champion Nutrition.
That was a big one.
I remember having a lot of Mass Gainer Champion Nutritions growing up, just hanging around. Yeah, he also, before steroids he also sold, juice before it was outlawed.
Sure.
Back when he was in high school, he's a powerlifter,
Right.
a meathead.
How much stuff did your dad save with regards to old Powerlifting USA books? Like I have Muscular Development magazines with the original, with Dr. Ken Leistner articles in them. And
when they were good, when they had value.
I actually contacted a guy. I can't recall if it was eBay, probably was. And I said, I actually had those magazines and didn't read Dr. Ken's articles. They were my brother's. Back then, bodybuilding was all about like pump it up, squeeze the muscles. And so I'm like, I had this magazine. So I contacted a guy and asked him, I'm looking for a series of Dr. Ken Leistner articles through Muscular Development. He's like, I went through the whole warehouse for you. You told me they were in the 80s, and he went through them, and I can't remember what I purchased them for, but I got them, baby.
Awesome, yeah.
I got them.
That's awesome. There's Powerlifting USA. I've got stacks and stacks of those old magazines. I'll go through them because Louis Simmons used to write like an equipment section in Powerlifting USA, and so there'll be a section in there like talking about some of the early like when he first came out with his reverse hyper and some of these other like bars and things that he was using. And there would be like the beginning early versions of those like contraptions in the magazine. I mean, there's a lot of history on all sorts of stuff. And that's when like gear, like triple ply, single ply, that sort of stuff started to get popular too. So that was all throughout there. You can read all about that in those old magazines, but it's cool to see the history and how it came about.
Yeah, I would love to see you do a video on some of your collections of stuff that your dad left over. What are some other things your dad left for you or inspired you with?
Yeah, so the bastard sold everything as far as all his gym equipment.
Really?
Yeah, he sold everything. He's like, because I'm of the same mindset. I'm like all in 100%, and then when I shift, I kind of just leave everything behind. So I grew up playing ice hockey. That was my life. I wanted to play in the NHL. I played collegiate. That was everything I did. And then I found training, and that kind of started taking over. And I haven't played since my last game. That was maybe 6 or 7 years ago. But it's so funny because I just shifted over. So I sold all my hockey equipment.
Yes.
My dad sold all of his gym equipment. But I remember asking him, like, why'd you sell everything? He's like, I didn't think you'd have any interest. He's like, I honestly, he's like, I didn't want you to get involved in powerlifting or anything like that. He's like, there was no money in it. There was, it was like, it was something that I enjoyed. But looking back on it, he's like, there was probably better things I could have done with my time. So he got rid of everything. But I do have one piece that is his old power belt.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I still use it's an old Inzer power belt. It's got double prongs on it. It's got I remember he drew a cross on the back of it, 3 little crosses. They're still on there. I don't know. It's just a cool piece of history. Although I have Pioneer belts, SBD belts, everybody's top belts, I still use that old Inzer. Yeah.
Very interesting. So he was doing the supplements. He had the gym. And back then, gyms were, we didn't have all these clubs. Back then there was times where my membership was $45 a month in the early 90s. And it was like I had to have a job. And then some places were at like $25, $35 a month. And it's interesting that, 30 plus years later, gym memberships are cheaper than what they were, because back then it was kind of the owner operator, the owner operator deal. So it's just interesting to see where things have gone since then.
Well, today they've figured out a model for the Planet Fitness, that type of gym, where it's let's pack as many memberships in this place as we can legally, but let's make it low enough in such a way that people don't use the gym equipment.
Sure.
See, one of the biggest negatives for gym owners is people that actually use the gym. If you want to run a profitable gym, it's honestly not that good to have members that use the equipment, because if they use the equipment, they're taking up real estate and they're also breaking things. Okay, so for a business that's simply seeking profit, a Planet Fitness model is the greatest model. However, it's detrimental to everybody that wants to train and improve. I mean, think about it. Like Planet Fitness, they have pizza and bagels for like people that are trying to get healthy. They're trying to keep you on this hamster wheel.
Strange.
It's awful. It is, without a doubt. But from a purely profit standpoint, it's a successful model. Yeah.
Do you know how I met the guy who was one of the investors and kind of like the brain behind it? Do you know the story of how they created the model? Do you know?
No, I don't. No.
I was at a business event on a weekend called the Genius Network. People are making so much money. This guy was I don't know if he's retired, but he was a professor at NYU and he was an economist. And so he was working with one of the health insurance companies on a survey. So they surveyed the people who were either overweight and or diabetic and had these health issues, essentially, that were dealing with, being obese and being overweight. And the questions were something to the effect of, are you obese, overweight, diabetic? If they said yes, then they went to these series of questions that were essentially like, do you exercise? The majority of them said no. Okay, why don't you exercise? I don't know how. It's intimidating to go to a gym. I don't know how to use the equipment. It's too expensive. Psh. So they're like, okay, guys, listen, there's this huge population that needs the fitness, but here's the reasons why they don't do it. So we're going to create a gym membership that flies under the radar, less than $20 a month. Usually you don't want to cancel it on your credit card. It'll be all machines, so nobody has to teach you how to use it. You sit in the thing and it moves for you. You don't even have to lift up a weight. I think the only weight-loaded machine is a Smith machine in Planet Fitness. And they said, we're going to eliminate our overhead. So no paper. You do everything on a computer. No high-end coaches, so we're just going to hire somebody at base pay, whatever the lowest minimum wage is. So they're basically just there to make sure that, you're not getting, that's it. They're just getting you through the door. So they cut all their overhead, and then they marketed to those people who were intimidated, hence no dumbbells over 50. So they created...
alarms.
Yep. So that was something like, 75% or more that had these obesity or diabetes health issues were not exercising. So they marketed directly to them. And now I think it's free in the summer for high school kids.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely some benefits to a Planet Fitness. The issue is they're marketing to those people, but the problem is those people aren't getting fitter. They're not getting healthier because they're not using the gym. It just makes them feel better because they have a membership.
It's kind of heartbreaking.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, it's really sad. Yeah,
and,
without a doubt.
I know what you're saying also on the flip side with like equipment being broken. Working at this high school, when I got to this high school, it was such a mess. And I was like, wow, these kids don't respect it because it's not theirs. They don't own it. They're not paying for it. They were just destroying the place. And so let's get into, now history. So, because we're probably going to come back to this topic where we talk about you owning your own gym. Let's talk about the first video you made for Garage Gym Reviews. How did that come about, and why did you start making the video? Was there a plan behind it? What was the deal?
Yeah, so the videos actually came maybe 3 years or so after I'd been writing on GarageGymReviews.com. Most people, because it's more in the public domain, they know us from YouTube or Instagram.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is I've been writing on Garage Gym Reviews for getting close to a decade now. Like GarageGymReviews.com, without a doubt, generates the most amount of traffic. We average close to probably 300,000 unique viewers per month on that site. So I mean, the site is really where I put most of my time, and that's where we reinvest, trying to grow the community, trying to create new features for people to find equipment. I've got a development team of a designer, a coder, and then a tester that are all always working right now to re-up the site. So that's really where my focus is a lot of the time. I decided to do YouTube because I wanted to provide content on the website. So
it started as a writing website.
Correct. Yeah. So I started as a WordPress site. It was just like a cheap, whatever site. I wanted to figure out how to make a website basically, and so I decided to do it on gym equipment. And that's how it started. And then I started doing YouTube because I wanted to put those videos on the website to make a more dynamic experience, and for people that didn't want to read the article, they could also watch the video.
Sure.
And so I just started basically doing video reviews on equipment that I had already done written reviews on. Not really. I mean, my thought with it was always, this is gym equipment. The potential audience for this isn't super large. So maybe I'll get a few subscribers here and there. Maybe there'll be some interest, but I at least know that people that are coming to the site, they'll be able to feel more helped. Well, it turns out I guess people do like gym equipment more than I ever expected. There's this home gym community.
Yes.
That's just ever growing where, and this isn't to be pompous. This is more just to show that there's that many people that like this sort of stuff. We've got 100,000 subscribers on YouTube now. We've got 150,000 on Instagram. And I never would have thought that people would have that much interest in hearing about home gyms or gym equipment or that sort of thing, because there's a whole lot of great people out there like yourself that are doing things specifically on fitness. That was never my goal. My goal isn't to be the fitness instructor. There's a lot more people that are more qualified and have more expertise in that. My goal is to simply be the place where if you're looking for home gym equipment, you're looking to build a home gym, you're looking to find out what gym equipment to use, I want to be the expert in that space. That's my goal. And so that's basically what I've built the whole model around. And so when I started YouTube, that was maybe 4 years ago or so. I just started very basic. I bought a basic camera. I didn't really know how to use it. I used iMovie, I think, to edit the videos. And I just started small. It's like that old Theodore Roosevelt quote, do what you can with what you have where you are.
Right.
So I tried to do the best work I could. That's what I always try to do, the best work I can with what I have at the place I'm in. Yeah.
Yeah, it's when you mention iMovie, people really say now is they're you gotta, my thing has always been putting up raw video, not editing, not putting up the great still image, the text, but the truth is you need that, right?
Yep, without a doubt. Yeah, I want to make content that I want to watch. So I'm just thinking that, my audience is me. I just think of what's something that I would want to watch, what's something I would want to read, what's something I would want to know about. And when it comes to mine, then I just try and make it.
Right. So what those early days you were editing your own videos, and what was the step to finally getting somebody to come and film for you? Did you put it open for an internship or a job? How'd that work?
Yeah, so I've been editing up until maybe a year and a half ago or so, and I still edit every video. I have a videographer, and he does my editing as well, but I'm very OCD, I'm a perfectionist. Yes. I like things to be exactly how I want them. So regardless of what he sends me over, there's always changes I want to make. And it's just easier for me to go in and make some minor changes. So I'm constantly still in there, still doing stuff. But I realized there was a point where my skill set should be focused on the things that I'm best at, and I should hire somebody who's better than what I'm good at, so I can focus on what my skills are, right? My skill set, I'm not the best videographer, I'm not the best editor.
Right.
My skill set is in entertaining people about gym equipment, talking about gym equipment, that sort of thing. And so I basically, I had a buddy who is a real estate agent, and I asked him, do you know anybody that's a videographer? He had a buddy that was a videographer. So we just met. I said, hey, would you like to shoot some videos? This is what I'm kind of doing. You know, we can negotiate price, everything like that. And just over time, like, he's a freelancer. It worked out for him. And it's worked out so far. Yeah.
It's good. When things go wrong, I envision, like, you ever see that YouTube video, Key and Peele, the substitute teacher?
Yeah.
You're like, son of a, you done messed up. You know, that's the stuff that runs through my head. So I get you too about being very OCD, and it's not just as the business owner. I think I just respect the equipment. I respect what the gym has done for me, that I feel like you should clean up after yourself. You should hang stuff up nice. And I see the way you organize things. And, you know, with my son is 11, he's been like he bought, his Christmas gift was a lawnmower. He's very much into like being a handyman. He helped me put together an old used hammer strength squat rack with his tools. But long story short, he was trying to get, you know, people in the neighborhood who wanted to mow their lawns. There was a lot of older men. I said, Ethan, the thing about these old guys is they're hanging on to like a little bit of manhood and being strong and being capable. So they don't want to let you mow their lawn. They feel like if you're mowing their lawn, you're taking away from it. But then my neighbor didn't have an edger, so my son did that. Then my other neighbor, his lawnmower broke, so my son mowed his lawn yesterday.
Awesome.
And what's interesting is just reminding me of, like, he takes a lot of pride in that. And there's a lot of now men out there who, the way these guys take pride in wanting to mow their lawn, we take pride in our gym, right? Yeah. It's like, this is our baby. And I didn't see that. You know, I've been in the business really since 2002. And then I think when Rogue came out, I saw this garage gym thing kind of taking off. In fact, I had a gym, but I started getting Rogue stuff in our house, this house. I was like, I just want a barbell so I could do cleans and pick it up off the ground. And it just felt like something special. And you could relate to that because I see it in your eyes when you're filming. You're like, you love these things. It's got to be hard too, though, because you love all of it, right?
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt. Yeah. I mean, to your point about Rogue kind of helping the industry, you know, everybody likes to compete with Rogue, and a lot of these companies, they don't like to talk about Rogue. They don't like to acknowledge what they've done. But the fact of the matter is, every equipment company in the industry should be thankful for what Rogue has done. Because what Rogue has done is they propelled the industry in such a way that now there's a market for people buying home gym equipment. Before Rogue and CrossFit and kind of all that happened, it wasn't that way. So everybody likes to, you know, throw shade at Rogue that competes against them. The fact of the matter is, Rogue has done more for that company than many of those companies have done for themselves. I mean, it's just true, because they built this market that's just grown, and it's not just Rogue, it's CrossFit. There's some other companies that were involved in that growth, but Rogue has definitely spearheaded that. But yeah, without a doubt, you know, home gym equipment, it's a balance, because one, I try not to ever sell any equipment unless I have duplicates. The reason being is that's kind of like my tool. That's what I use to review. Right. And so if a new barbell comes out or something like that, when in the beginning my wife didn't understand it, you know, she's like, why do you need 50 barbells? Well, now she gets it, because every time a new barbell comes in, I go out to the garage or the gym and I basically compare and contrast. I'm feeling the knurling, I'm feeling the spin, I'm feeling the end caps, I'm feeling the machining, I'm looking at the welds, everything like that. You can't do that unless you have everything on hand. I can have memory and photos, but it's a whole different experience to be able to touch and things like that. So like when I went to Rogue, they're like, one of the reasons that, we respect your reviews is you have a more variety of gym equipment than anybody in the world. They're like, you're able to compare all these different barbells.
True.
Where we at Rogue, we have probably more barbells than you do, but we don't have quite the variety that you do. You have one of like everyone that everybody makes. So
yes.
it's helpful for me to be able to compare and contrast. So I definitely I would love to eventually have a warehouse where it's all of my gym equipment in one place. But right now, because, I don't have the space for all of it, the gym that I own is about 4,000 square feet. My home gym is 3-car garage. That's a lot of space, but I have a lot of equipment and they take up a lot of space. So I have about probably close to 10 or 11 friends that have home gyms that are basically just my equipment. So I just let them borrow it. They give me feedback on it and I just keep it there until I need it. So yeah, maybe eventually I'll have it all in one place.
I don't trust people to borrow my stuff. And I mean, I'm so type A. My wife she's like, Zach, it's a gym. It's supposed to get used. I'm like, no, people just don't respect these things. And, talking about things hard to let go. Did you ever see the 150-pound globe dumbbell I have?
Oh yeah. Yeah. That thing's epic. Is that one York?
We don't know. I sent a photo of it to Pops and over at Sornex. He doesn't know either. And the way I got that it was on early days eBay when eBay was more like a garage sale.
Yeah.
I bought it when I had first opened up my gym. So we're talking the fall of 2007.
Wow.
And I remember the bid was going to end while I was running my gym. It was going to end around 7:30. And it was in New Jersey, local pickup. And not many people knew about eBay. And so I was like, I can't remember what it cost. Let's say it cost $150. I just bid $151.50. I was like, nobody's going to do it. But, back then people were learning the game. So somebody waited for 2 minutes before and then outbid me by a quarter or 50 cents.
Oh, man.
So I messaged the guy on eBay. And I'm ready to sell my soul to the devil. I told him I will pay you double for the dumbbell, and I'll give you 10 years membership to my Underground Strength Coach website. And he's like, I felt so bad for you because you were so wanting it. And I can't remember what the price, if I did actually pay double or I can't remember what it was. But long story short, it was picked up from outside of a barn, a farmhouse, and it was in the dirt. And I honestly feel like it was from the circus era. We have Coney Island, not too far away.
Sure.
And so that would make it maybe a little bit, your barbell was started in those pretty early 1900s, the early days of strength and health. Yep. So I don't know, man. I really don't know who could have made it. And a guy who collects some vintage stuff on Facebook Marketplace. Have you been watching Facebook Marketplace now?
Oh, yeah.
Price gougers. Those, my buddy said there's a special place in hell for those people. They're going out of control.
Dude, it's crazy, man. Yeah, we've got a Facebook group called the Home Gym Community.
I think I'm in it.
Literally every day there's new posts of somebody saying, man, I was looking for some power blocks. I was looking for a rack, and everything's like double retail right now.
And
but
it's such a shame.
Supply and demand.
Supply and demand. Yeah, I just feel like, come on, bro. Don't. I've seen barbells that might be a beater bar on Rogue used is now $500. So a guy on the marketplace was sending me photos because I bought York bumper plates from him. The one that has the rubber around it.
Yep.
Do you have any of them? They're probably from the early 70s.
I don't have any. I know which ones you're talking about. Yeah, there's still some companies that make those.
Yes, there are. I actually had a pair of standard plates. I sold them, though, but they did have the rubber around them. So anyway, I showed him what I had, and he's like, I need that 150. Now I need it. And I said, nah, man, I can't sell it. He goes, wrong. Wrong. Everything has a price. And it was going to be such it sounded like we were in a standoff and I had kidnapped somebody. I said, dude, I would not sell it if you offered me 10 grand. So he sends me photos of Jackson Globe dumbbells and deep dish this. And he's like, name the price. I go, dude, I will not sell this. This thing is going to the grave with me. So you could relate to this because it's so funny, but it's actually not funny. It's dude, you You could come here with a Lamborghini, and I'm not letting go of this dumbbell.
Yeah, it's an issue. But, like I'm that way. I know you talked about selling your first squat rack. And I was just thinking, man,
It was a trade. It was actually a trade.
Oh, okay, it was a trade.
It was a half Sorinex. It was not secured. And a buddy of mine used to clean out universities, old YMCAs, you name it. Or let's say in Manhattan, like Crunch Fitness was going out of business. They'd be like, his name was Jeff. Jeff, you got 18 hours or you got 24 hours. They'd go in the middle of the night with, the 18-wheelers. They'd clear it out for pennies on the dollar, refurbish. So he had refurbished a university, and he had the Sorinex 3/4 rack. Did you ever see that?
Yeah, I know what you're at. Yeah, you're talking about like the sumo style rack.
Yep, and then it kind of comes, so you have the rack, then it comes out halfway.
Yep.
So it's not a full cage. And so he brought that, and then he took my half rack. I think he donated it to a local high school, and then they drilled in the 3/4 rack. And so I still got a Sorinex rack, but it was so... Then when it was like leaving, I remember I was like saying goodbye to my son going to kindergarten or something. It was like, it stabbed me in the heart. I was like, no.
Yeah, dude. I'm that same way. Like I think the first barbell I ever owned for myself was an early Rogue Ohio bar, one of the earliest ones. And they have lifetime warranties still on that bar. Beautiful. And mine's like slightly bent. And if there's any bend in a Rogue bar, what people don't understand is they'll give you a free one for it. Like they'll return it. Amazing. But I can't do it because it's the original. The knurling's so worn down. There's hardly anything left.
Yeah.
But it's just like, that's my first barbell. I can't get rid of it. So it sits up in the garage and I look at it every once in a while. But yeah, I'm that same way.
First real bar is an Ivanko. It was like their home gym bar. I think it has like a 700-pound test on it. Okay. I can't remember what it cost because I bought it when living with my parents. And I was messaging the guy on AOL Instant Messenger, Ivanko was on.
Yeah. And with the dinosaurs, archaic there.
I was like, oh, I have a cap barbell. And he's like, you forgot one letter. I go, what do you mean? He goes, R, like crap. And I got my first 300-pound weight set from Costco. So I remember I was like, why is this barbell so expensive? I can't remember. It probably was over $300. And I was like, why is it so expensive? This is your home gym model. I didn't know anything about barbells. So my first real bar, and I still have it, and Ivanko has 3 rings on it and center knurling. Pretty good knurling still. Yeah, I mean, I was like, all right, I don't foresee anybody in my gym pulling over 700. I'm gonna get this bar. And so, yeah, it's very hard to let go of stuff. You've been through a lot of podcasts, you told me. What have been like, is there a question that people or a topic people don't ask you about, Coop, where you're like, why don't they ask me about this?
I think to avoid some things, people don't ask me what equipment I don't like. They always ask what I do like because they think like
on what you don't like. You're very like, hey man, this thing here, not so hot.
Yeah, I think, I want to be as unbiased and as honest as possible. And I've realized just in life in general that when you shoot people straight, regardless of, whose side you're on or whatever, that people realize that you're just a straight shooter and people are going to be okay with that. So like Titan, I'm constantly beating down Titan on some of their stuff, but they still call me and they're still like, they ask me for like, hey, how can we improve this? Hey, what would you like on this? Right. Hey, Coop, can you review this? Because they realize that I'm going to do that regardless of the company. Rogue comes out with stuff, and I say, if I don't like it, I say it's not good. For instance, the Rogue Monster Bench 2.0. When they came out with that bench, we did a review, and the title of the review or the thumbnail on the review was the bench with the big word average behind it because it was just an average bench that they were selling for too expensive. So I said, you should change this, you should change this, you should make this change. Well, 2 weeks later, I had a freight shipment show up, and it had all the changes that I requested on it.
Who do you
of the bench?
Who do you speak with over there? You don't speak with Bill. You speak with Chris. Who do you speak with?
No, not Bill. I mean, I've talked to Bill, obviously, but their lead product developer is Amit Jones. Mm-hmm. So I talk to Amit a lot of times. He's probably the lead that I talk to. I mean, there's other reps that I talk to as well. I mean, Rogue's so big at this point. They've got, I think, when I was there, it was 600 employees. That was like a year and a half ago.
Yep.
But they're trying to hire 150 for all of this like expansion that's happening in the industry. So they're going to be close to 800. Yeah. I mean, Rogue, I mean, it's crazy how fast they've grown, without a doubt.
Yeah, I've been around those guys kind of early days, and the stall bars.
Yep.
I sent Bill and Chris that Polish weightlifting video. You ever see it on YouTube?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yep.
So I said, hey guys, like these used to be in my high school gymnasium, and I'm wondering if you guys could build this for me. So I got their first prototype. They sent it to me.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I still paid for it, but they a certain part of it they sent it to me so I could install it and review it. And one time I stopped there on the way home from Louisville, just pulled right in and I bought stuff. And I remember I saw a photo of somebody, it may have been Jason Khalipa, carrying their jerry cans, the steel ones.
Yep.
And I was like, you guys have any of these? And they're like, do we have any of these? And they're like, we got like X amount left. Like, all right, like spray paint the Rogue on it. And it was like I walked out with them, 15 minutes after the paint dried. So I'm trying to think. I've seen you review Titan, Sorenex. What about Elite and Williams Strength? Have you reviewed any of their stuff?
Yeah, we've done some with theirs. I haven't done a ton of their stuff. I like their stuff. I like Williams Strength. I like Elite FTS.
Yep.
I've definitely done some reviews on Elite FTS's specialty bars,
yes,
specifically the safety squat bar. So we had an article, the best safety squat bar, and it was number one, our top pick for a while.
I have their original one, 75 pounds.
Really?
I think the current one is what, 62?
65, I think. Yeah, somewhere around there. It's an amazing bar, man.
Yeah. It almost.
I mean, that one really, I think, propelled the industry as far as safety squat bars and kind of specialty bars. That was, I think, it wasn't the first, but it was one of the first that had mass adoption of a specialty bar. And now all these companies are iterating, trying to improve. I think like what Kabuki's done with some of their bars. I think Elite FTS, I think they could have done some of those things like early on with like the Duffalo bar. I think they just didn't put as much time into them. But the SS Yoke that they came out with, I absolutely love that bar. It's an incredible bar.
Yeah. I mean, Dave certainly with his early days training at Westside in the 80s, he was able to go through a lot of these test bars that Louis would have made. And so a couple of years back, I took my son with me. A gym was closing. Well, the guy was moving to Florida. He was, a high-intensity Nautilus guy. So when I went into his gym, when we drove there, I say, Ethan, this is called a bro trip. Do you know what a bro trip is? He goes, no, Daddy. My son's like 4. I go, bro trip means Mommy doesn't know about this. You don't tell Mommy. And so he was so not like into it. And I'm like looking at these Nautilus machine spin-offs. I think it was called Scorpion was a company. He had plates stacked against the back wall, and I knew there would be Yorks. So you got to play it cool. I was like, do you mind if I go through these to see which ones are like the least rusted? But I knew there were Yorks on the bottom. I must have moved like 30 plates per stack, and in the bottom I got the Yorks.
Really?
Yeah, I got the York plates, and I got
deep dish, milled back, everything like that.
Not deep dish, but just the what's it called? Like they're called the milled ones, not the deep.
They're
dish,
milled.
though. Milled.
Slightly shorter diameter, slightly smaller diameter. Yeah, those are amazing plates.
I have a deep dish set of Yorks that was given to me by my buddy Henri Skiba, who's got a powerlifting gym in Carteret called Skiba's Gym.
I know Henri.
Oh, yeah. So him and his buddies kind of like the Institute of Iron. They grew up in that area amongst a lot of these guys that when they owned a gym, it was basically in their basement. And, neighborhood kids would come in, and basically this was the forming of powerlifting teams and clubs. They were done in basements and garages. So out of this gym that shut down, I picked up the original Hatfield Bar. The guy who built it is from Trenton, New Jersey.
I didn't know that. Really?
Yeah. So the guy's a crossing guard now. I forget his name. I'm forgetting his name, but CJ Murphy from Total Performance Sports mentioned it. I'd have to look it up, but I got one of those, a Hatfield bar, and then they welded a curl bar with neutral handle and V handle.
Okay, so I got a multi-grip bar.
A multi-grip bar. Probably welded it in the 70s or the 80s because that guy had been open since the 70s. He was a student of Arthur Jones.
Okay.
And I mean, there was like photos of him when he was in his prime. Like his neck was huge. I mean, the guy was just a tank. So I know we kind of bounce all over. We have the ADD of gym equipment. I always say to my buddy Joe Ken, you know Joe Ken House?
No.
So
Big House
Big
Power?
House, yep.
Yeah, yep.
Great friend of mine. I tell
him,
he's
with Dynamic now.
He's with Dynamic. I go, bro, you know, they make that show American Pickers. They could film us just because I always send him and Ron McKeefery like places with people selling all their York dumbbells. Cool. I'm like, we can do this. You know, we can buy this. So what about, have you gone on a recent pick lately? Have you gone like for a ride to pick up some used stuff?
Well, let me think here. So actually on Sunday, I went and picked up a Mars bar. Have you heard of Mars bar?
Sure, yeah.
So they're the latest safety squat bar. So the creator of that actually lives in Kansas, which is about 4 hours away from me or so.
Okay.
So we met halfway because he wanted to talk through the bar and like basically give me a how-to on it.
Right.
So I was able to meet him, and pick up that bar. Other than that,
that's not a real pick, Coop. Going on Craigslist and, driving through the hood and, locking the doors. That's a real pick, my bro.
No, I haven't had anything like that lately. A lot of the stuff I've been doing has been newer equipment. I mean, early on, I would go anywhere I could find. Sure. Like, I got an early reverse hyper that I bought down in Arkansas, and it was in Little Rock.
Who made
That's
it?
about 4 hours from where I am.
A West Side reverse hyper?
Yeah, it was a West Side. Yeah, and it was sketchy. Like, and getting that thing out of there, everything about it was like, this is not. I should have brought somebody.
Did you guys film? Oh, so you were alone?
No, this was years ago.
Okay.
No, this was years ago. I was by myself. I would like to do more of that stuff.
Yes.
It's like I've got a bandwidth, where it's like, how much videos can I put out that people actually like? What are people interested in? Honestly, a lot of this stuff is a surprise to me that people have interest in any of this stuff. So the fact that people would have interest in like the history of some of these strength tools, I don't even know if it's there. So like I test the waters and like I'll do something, see if people like it, and then I'll do more of it. But lately we've had a lot of requests for like, hey, Coop, you should talk about the history of like some of this equipment and like that sort of stuff. So one thing I really want to do is I want to talk about the static dynamic developer. Yeah, have you heard about that yet?
Of course. I mean, I've been a Louis follower. I got my first sled from Louis. Do you know the story?
No. Tell it.
You and I could do like a 10-hour podcast. And just all the people need is, the steak and the protein shake to watch. So I used to speak with Louis on the phone. I'd call him once a week.
Okay.
When I was a teacher, I would use my prep. And so he used to talk to me about the training of wrestlers and the early MMA fighters. And back then, it wasn't called MMA. It was called NHB, for no holds barred fighting. Okay. And so he was talking to me about training these wrestlers with a sled and dragging it for a mile or dragging it for like 30 minutes. And so I would say, well, I'd like to buy, a sled. And then he called Doris, and Doris would, hey, Zach. And I'd order. So when I bought the sled, it didn't come in a box. It came with a full, like, 30 stamps taped on it and clear tape. It was no, awesome. I was like, this is crazy.
That's hilarious.
And I also purchased, he would tell me about, like, Kevin Randleman, who passed away, but he was a UFC champ and a national champ wrestler. He told me about how he took 2 landmines and he had a friend just put them on a piece of wood, called it the grappler. So he's like, he goes, I have Kevin go for like 5 minutes nonstop, like a MMA fight. So he'd do flies and presses and rotations. So I buy the grappler and I would train. If you look at like my videos from 06, 07, 08, you see our guys pressing the grappler, and it was the 2 landmines put together. So I would have to hand one to the guy. He'd lift the other one, then I'd stand on it and I'd have the guys press it and punch it.
Awesome.
You'd see early videos of Chuck Vogelpohl like deadlifting with it.
Okay.
So those were my early days with Louis. And even the first set of chains I bought from him, they weren't stainless steel. In like a week, they were covered in rust.
Oh,
and
really?
I was like, oh, dude, I had to throw them out. I mean, they were disgusting. Normally a little rust, not a big deal, but they like in a week they were just covered in rust.
Well, they don't really care much about that kind of stuff over at West Side. Like if
No,
you like their gym is at least I haven't been there yet. I really want to
I've
go.
been there
But they're like photos that and videos I've seen. There's just chains just
everywhere.
littering the floor,
No dumbbell
dumbbells,
racks.
yeah, barbells. You know, I mean
Yes.
that's kind of like the aesthetic. That's the thing. It's like we're all about the training. It doesn't matter if it looks good or not. This may be the strongest. Probably West Side is probably one of the most well-known gyms in the world.
Right.
Yet it's just in like a shopping like back warehouses.
It's in a warehouse development area.
Okay. Yeah.
So
pretty cool.
super interesting. So what the heck were we talking about? We're talking about the reverse hyper.
The static dynamic developer.
Yeah.
So the
Do you
static
have one?
dynamic. No, I don't have one. No, and actually, there aren't many people that do. I've talked to a couple people that have one. There's a guy who owns a gym down in Florida who I know has been testing them, and I've been like talking to him about
Who's
them.
the guy? Whereabouts in Florida?
So the gym he owns is called Stronggate.
Oh yeah, those guys.
Okay.
Yes, they're in they're in St. Pete. They're near Elliott Hulse.
Yep.
Baseball guys.
Exactly. Yeah, but I supposedly they've got a couple that they've been testing. But I've been wanting to get my hands on one, but they haven't. There's not any produced yet. However, I do know that Rogue bought or is now like licensing whatever their agreement is with Westside for Louis Designs. So I would assume there would be something like that coming out. But Louis has come out and stated he believes the static dynamic developer is going to be like the most revolutionary piece of equipment ever created for gym equipment. So we'll see if that's true or not. It may be hype, but I'm really interested in it. That's a piece of equipment that I've been looking at for a while. And I'd like to, maybe probably bring some light to it because I haven't heard a lot of people talk about it.
Yeah, the tough thing is with that, first of all, the price is so high.
Oh,
number one. Number two, how many people can use it? And sometimes that's how I look at things. So, when I was coaching at the college level, I've got like 15 guys on average in a group. The high school, my average is more like 40 kids at a time, sometimes 75 kids in a group, sometimes 28 kids in a group. But I kind of look at equipment now of like how much, or I look at exercise the same way. Can I coach 12, 15, 20 people to do this movement or not? And so, West Side, they train in those small groups. And, the guys at Strong 8, I got to look up his name, but I follow them. They're wild, those guys, pretty crazy. Going like constant, maxing out.
Yep.
So,
but that's probably a reason you got rid of the Sornex Hurricane, right?
Yeah. So basically, I got the Sornex Hurricane because I had Bert sent me way back in the day a VHS tape with them using all their equipment. So I was in their original office at one of their like early days, Summer Strong, and it's Bert like doing all the lifting back when he was still competing, or probably right after he was done competing as a hammer thrower. So I saw like Bert like just cleaning the thing, pressing it, and then one of their guys, Jason Lawson, they call him Cyborg. Like Cyborg would like anything he did, it was like he was such a beast. I love that guy. So I remember seeing them using that. I was like, I need this. And I'm talking, this is like 2005 maybe. Okay. So I'm always on Facebook Marketplace. I just type Westside Barbell, Sornex, York Barbell, same stuff.
Like, yep, I do too.
I confess.
Yeah.
So I see somebody selling it, but it's like, I can't remember. Maybe they were selling it for like $2,500. It was painted, and I'm just like, I don't have the space for this, but I want every year one new thing, especially for my college athletes who are advanced enough to use it. So a buddy of mine buys it, and he's kind of, he's not really an equipment whore, but he has an amazing gym. I did a tour of it. I'll have to send it to you, and I'll post it on the article post with this. He had one, and he bought this one. I don't know why. And then I saw that he bought it, and then he's selling it. I'm like, dude, what the hell, man? I go, I need to just buy, I need to buy this thing. So I borrowed my wife's got a pickup truck. I borrow it. I go up there, and, I can't remember even what I paid for it. I had it for maybe, I don't know if I had it for 2 years or a year, but it was like my middle school and high school kids were like shrugging on it. I'm like, guys, I get no. Like they'd put a 10-pound plate on. I'm like, guys, shrug the kettlebells or the dumbbells. We're not shrugging 10-pound plates on this. It's just can't even do it. And then my guys were doing things like they would bench on it. They would do the presses.
Okay.
The cleans were a little bit awkward. And I was like, you know what? Sometimes I was getting close to 20 kids in a group. I'm like, I need another squat rack.
Yeah.
I need to have more people with a bar on their back than I need with this. And before that, actually, I had a Sorenex squat stand. And I can't remember what it was called, but it had like the squat stand, and then right in front of your feet had where you would put the plates. It was called like the Whisper Link or something like that. You just rolled the plate. It was beautiful. I sold that because I got the Hurricane, and then I was like, Monmouth University got a new weight room, and they were selling stuff for very cheap. So I picked up that Hammer Strength half rack for like $350, maybe $400. I can't recall. It's all a blur. You know, as long as my wife's not watching, we're in the clear.
Yeah.
And then I also bought from Monmouth. They had 2 of those Rogue glute ham benches, the pin pull. You know, the one that you just pull the pin?
Yeah, the Abram 2.0.
Abram. Dude, $125 each.
Oh my gosh.
Dude, I know. Bang,
that's a steal,
score.
yeah.
Listen, I'm a beast. I don't know what to tell you. You know what I tell people? I go, this stuff finds me. I don't even go looking for it. So I took those 2 glute ham benches and I put them at the high school.
Okay.
And I also got 2 Swiss bars for the high school. So, you know, started getting these kids equipment that they never used. So, yeah,
well,
the versatility.
The Hurricane's a great piece of equipment. I mean, the design, I mean, what you can do with it is awesome. The issue is for the amount of space it takes up and the amount of like options that are available outside of that now, it's kind of been surpassed. So like now we have adjustable jammer arms that go up and down. What I'm waiting for, have you seen the Arsenal Strength? It's like a multi-flex unit. It's got like, it's basically a ground-based, it's like a ground-based jammer arm system, but the difference is the arms, they swivel in and out, not just up and down. What I think needs to happen, and Sorenex has made a custom one of these for Gunnar Peterson out of LA.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and it goes in and out. That's such a better design. If you can lock it in and make it just fixed, or if you can bring it in and out, because then you would basically be able to have a Hurricane on your power rack with a much cheaper solution. Doesn't take as much space. So I foresee that coming eventually.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The Hurricane was made for Miami Hurricanes.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yep. So Sorenex, you know, one of their Pops has been in. That's the thing about, you know, people who are lifters making equipment. You know, years ago, I remember I was when I was on the Elite FTS Q&A, I was in the warehouse, and I remember J.L. Haldsworth said something to Dave. He's like, you know, the hole spacing in this area of the squat rack, he's like, it's too far apart. It shouldn't be that way. And Dave's like, show me. Boom, bang. It's like they were, you know, those world-class, world champion lifters, it just makes sense to them. And so all these little details that you review, the, you know, common garage gym owner doesn't grasp. Like I have in my one gym, the Sorenex XL racks with the jammer arms.
Yep.
In my other gym, in my hometown, I have the Rogue Westside racks. Why? Because I had one Westside cage in my garage, very small garage. When I was opening my gym, I was like, you know what? Might as well just get another one and piece the 2 of them together. But the J cups are not deep enough. I had a kid like try to, he like pulled the Swiss bar to adjust it, to straighten it out, and pulled it right off the J cups.
Oh man.
So I was like, all right, call up my buddy Dean at Black Widow Training Gear. Dean
he's a man.
Dean came to my certification early days, and he would send me, you know, I'd tell him, hey, man, I need like a log bar like this, and he'd make it before he could knurl it or anything. And so I said, Dean, I need J-cups that have like the higher lip. God forbid one of these knucklehead kids pulls it again. We don't want any accidents. And so I like, you know, Sorenex makes those big J-cups. You know, Rogue now makes them also, but there are these details that a lifter can be ahead of when they're testing equipment, you know?
Oh, certainly. Oh, without a doubt. And you see that like the companies who they hire people that actually train,
Yes.
they're the ones that are innovating and pushing the industry forward. There's a lot of gym equipment companies that all you see is all they do is copy. And the reason is because they don't have anybody on their staff that actually trains. The owner doesn't train,
Yeah.
the engineers don't train. Like you can tell the companies that have people on their staff that are creating equipment that actually use the equipment. The issue is you end up with companies that like they're just like marketers or some sort of boardroom members that they don't know what it's like to have a home gym. They don't experience that.
Sure.
So they're not coming out with innovative solutions. They're just seeing what else the market's making. And then they're just like, oh, let's make something like that. And then they miss some of the finer points. So you see that a lot with companies safety points, or like benches that wobble, or they don't come up to standard degree markings. So they don't come up to like 30, 45 degree, things like that.
Right.
The reason is because those companies, they don't use the equipment. They're just trying to sell something. So that's why when Sorinex comes out with something, people jump on it because they know like Sorinex, like they know what they're doing. They're going to make equipment that people want to use. And they're from lifters, so you can trust it. I mean, you see that kind of stuff all the time in the industry.
Yeah, there's a lot of equipment companies. And you know, I'm going to be very honest here. Like, see, I have a relationship with the guys at Sorinex because I've been on the phone with them since I was starting in the business. You know, speaking directly to Bert. And, you know, I remember pulling over to give him a credit card to order my first thick bar, you know, revolving thick bar.
Yeah.
Or, you know, being on the phone with Louis Simmons. So I like to order from them. Dave Tate, really those early days being like a father figure of iron to me. You know, I got my first squat rack for my gym from Elite. Rogue in the early days, Bill, look at this. Can you make this? And so I feel such a connection to buy from all those guys. And, you know, I'm sure that's how, you know, people, they have these connections to people. I did see, you know, mentioning lifters. I think you did a review on them or something. They're the equipment that outfitted Stephanie Cohen's gym, Ghost. Right.
Go Strong.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
Interesting. They kind of, you know, Elliot Hulse had the same thing. Like Elliot Hulse's gym was outfitted by a company based in the UK, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure what company was it Watson or ESP? Maybe one of those?
Maybe, yeah, one of them.
Okay. Well, yeah, Go Strong. So Go Strong, they basically what they did was they make like industrial equipment for the corn industry. They're based out of Iowa. And I guess they have some lifters there, and they decided, hey, we'll take I think they have 75 employees. They've been around 100 years. They're like, we laser cut and weld stuff all the time, and we lift. Let's like just start building gym equipment. So they started building gym equipment. The first place that I saw them was Steffi Cohen Hybrid. They Performance Method. They had some gym equipment from them. So we had reposted some of their stuff because it was like, wow, this stuff is amazing.
It is amazing.
But we just finished doing a review on their combo rack. We're doing a giveaway, which we're actually announcing. Today is Tuesday the 7th. We're announcing the winner of a giveaway for a combo rack that we did with in combination with Kabuki Strength and Go Strong.
Yes.
I mean, here's the thing. The Go Strong rack is incredible. It's amazingly well built. Everything's custom. The problem with it is they know how to make metal. They haven't figured out how to use plastic yet. So a lot of companies, people don't realize this. You still need plastic on a metal rack because you need it to protect all the metal parts.
Yeah.
So like the uprights that go into the sleeve, there's no metal protector that's protecting the metal or protecting the paint. So it ends up just getting scratched, everything like that. Those are sorts of details that they'll iron out. But when they iron those out, which are minor details, I mean, I think they'll get pretty popular. They're very expensive. I call them the custom chopper. They're a custom chopper group that makes gym equipment, right?
Right, yeah.
But it's a cool piece of equipment. It's another competitor in the industry. And, you know, I think for home gym owners, the more options that are available, what it does is it drives down the price. It gives you more options to purchase from, and it's better for everyone.
Yeah, and plus they're not, you know, these companies that are kind of all around. Like out west is Samson. So Samson is making equipment for you know, New Mexico and California.
FTR rack. It's an amazing rack. 7-gauge steel, fully cables, everything. I mean, hardly anybody hears about them. Yeah.
Right, I know, because here's the other thing is like you got to be able to market. You've got to be able to create videos and create buzz. That's a big name of the game, and I think that's also how some of these companies look, companies know that if they send you stuff, it's going to get in front of a gazillion eyeballs. That is marketing. That's part of the game. So if I'm not sending my stuff to you to get it reviewed, I'm paying for it through Facebook ads, and I'm paying somebody else, an employee, to create videos. So it's that's the way it is, man.
Yeah. Well, I tell companies, if you make a good product, then you want us to review it. If you make a bad product, then you probably don't want us to review it.
Right.
Because there's been products that companies have sent us that we've done reviews on, and we basically said, like, you shouldn't buy this. One, it's not safe, or there's like issues that they should fix or whatever. Well, a lot of those products are no longer on the market. I mean, it's just a fact of the matter, because I'm trying to be honest and say if something's good, I praise it. If something's not good, then I say it's not good. Yeah. But if something's good and it's worth recommending, then there's going to be people out there that buy it because we recommend it. Yeah, because like people have recognized, like, we're going to say if it's good, if it's good, if it's bad, if it's bad. So people like that honesty and they listen to it.
They do. My one buddy, Marty Gallagher, you ever read the book Purposeful Primitive?
Oh, yeah. It's an amazing book. Yeah.
So Marty, he just doesn't believe in any of these big oversized stuff, because he's like, look, Pat Casey benched 600 on a bench that you could move with your own two hands.
Paul Anderson, squatted in a barn, with axles. Yeah. I mean, You look at, there's even some guys, oh man, what's that? There's a modern guy on Instagram that's always posting, like, I'll think of it. I can't think of it off the top of my head. But there's people today that, that are modern strongmen that don't use. That's the thing. Like, people, like, they'll see DIY gym equipment and they're like, it's not safe. How do you get strong with that? You don't need a 3x3 11 gauge steel squat rack to get strong.
Yeah.
Like, it's just the fact of the matter. You just need, like, increasing weight, and you need some way to lift it. I mean, it's not as hard as we make it.
I do like, though, the whole safety thing. I'll tell you what. I tore my shoulder benching, incline benching, like super lightweight. And, I'm a good friend of Donnie Thompson, old Super D, and I don't have his fat pad, but I did pick up a Bosu ball, and it feels great to bench on.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But then I didn't use the Bosu, and I have an old folding mat from Target, and I saw him doing it. So you know what? I took it, and I just put it, and I bench with it, and my upper back has great support, and I think that stuff's important. Having bigger benches with thicker padding is safer. Have people gotten strong as hell without it? Mm-hmm. Yes, but have people gotten injured with I don't want to say shitty equipment, but with like thinner, tough surface equipment? Here's one guy. And, it was because I had an early model of something that is now improved upon. So I think certain things you do want the bigger stuff.
Oh, well, I think it's definitely something that's helpful and safer. Yeah. But I do think also we live in a culture in which, like, we're so used to being mamby-pambied, like, everything's so nice. Like, people have to, like, the thought with cars, like, you have to have a car to get around. Listen, I commute on my bicycle, basically because I'm doing voluntary hardship. Like, you don't have to have a car. You don't have to have, like, these amazing gym in order to get strong. You don't have to have these things. That's something that culture, society has put upon you, that it's basically become, like, normalized. But the fact of the matter is, like you said, like Marty Gallagher and Purposeful Primate, like, those sorts of, like, ideas and things of getting strong with minimal equipment, it's been around for ages.
Right. The original West Side guys basically had a York isometric rack.
Yeah.
Right? Or no, they cut it and opened it up. And
West Side still uses the original, like, R3 rack.
Correct.
That white rack.
I had it.
Beat to crap, dude. But they still use it.
And it's a 2x2.
Yes.
These are the original West Side articles.
Sweet.
Dr. Ken photocopied all of them.
Really?
Gave it to Jimmy Wendler. Good old Jimmy Wendler was like, Zach, I know you love it. I'm just going to give it to you.
No way, dude.
Jim is the man. So, you could see what they did was, they basically took the isometric rack
Oh my
and just
gosh.
they cut it and he opened it up. That's what Bill Peanuts West did. Super interesting.
Yeah, they made it a 24-inch depth, but you're right.
So
it's basically the exact same rack.
So he could box squat inside of it. His original box squat was a milk crate reinforced by wood.
Okay.
Yeah, or it may have been like a steel milk crate. We've gone way over an hour. Do you want to spend a few minutes talking about your gym and what you're doing now that we're on lockdown?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
Well, talk about, we're all shut down with gyms. I've always had an online business. You have what we call multiple streams of income, but you probably have like a head coach there, right?
Yeah. So I have a personal trainer who's my partner. He does all the day-to-day, training, that sort of thing. I'm more like back end. It's all my equipment. I'm more like financing it and marketing it. But yeah, so right now we mostly train our people online, all our clients online. All our clientele, we're very high touch. Like my goal is to be the exact opposite of Planet Fitness. And the reason is I didn't want to compete with Planet Fitness. I didn't want to compete with the CrossFit gyms. The way that I thought I could be successful is creating a gym that's very high touch, very high class, just like, very small class size, anywhere from 1 to 5 people in a class. So right now, basically we lent out a lot of equipment to our clients. And we do video coaching and things like that. That's what we have going on right now.
What app are you guys using for video coaching?
Well, we just use Zoom, but we use True Coach as well.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, applying like the programming, everything like that. It's honestly the best option right now. I still don't love it. There should be something better, but it's the best that we have right now.
Yeah, True Coach is pretty good. I know you're friends with my buddy Matt Reynolds Strong Barbell Logic. He coached me for like 6 months, and I utilized the True Coach app, and I thought it was great.
Yeah. They're just, I don't know. I use a lot of tech, so I'm using a lot of more modern tools that are outside of strength. Okay. And I think there's some things that could definitely be improved, but overall, it's a good option without a doubt. But that's the way, the gym is shut down, but we basically just gave all of our equipment to our clients, and we're trying to make the best of the situation. It's difficult for everybody, but my thought is I'm going to try and weather this storm as long as possible, because there's going to be gyms that can't weather the storm, and that's going to open up the market again.
Right. And then, we're just going to have to buy their equipment. We're going to have to do it.
I hate to do it, I hate to do it, but I'd love to.
Some people shut down right away. They didn't even try to have this plan B. I see gyms, I'm assuming Super D got those pieces of Cybex gym equipment from like a old school mom and pop commercial gym.
Yep. Well, what happened, this is when I was in college, I'm a finance major. When I was in college, I had a real estate professor who was like, you want to know who runs a good business? You can always tell who runs a good business when they're still around after a recession or a depression. If you're just having a business when the market's doing well, you don't really know what it's like to be a business owner. It's only after you've been through the fire, after there's been blood in the streets and you're still going strong. True. That's when you can prove yourself and that you actually know what you're doing. Too many people think they're successful in business. And the fact of the matter, the reason they're successful in business is because everything's good. This is when, like, the real people, they grit their teeth, they put their nose to the grindstone, they've been saving, they've been stocking away, they've been smart with their money, and now they just ride it out until the market opens up again. And
you learn to do what's called pivoting. This is kind of my second business recession. Hurricane Sandy hit my town. Hit New Jersey. And so we had no power for 2 weeks, and then probably well over 50%. I felt like it was 75%. They had to pull their kids out of the gym because they had shore house. We call it the Jersey Shore. They had beach houses. They had boats. Wow. That stuff got destroyed. So they were like, Zach, we're out. I got to rebuild another house. My boat is done. This and that. So this is kind of my second, quote unquote recession. And even before that, when the recession hit in 08, 09, I was like a year and a half, 2 years into my first warehouse location. And it was interesting. I was getting a lot of people coming to my certification who were kind of trying to make a transition as strength coaches because they were in the real estate market, but they were into it was a real interesting crowd of people that would come in. And I remember I was thinking the other day, this one guy, like the warm-up was killing him. My warm-up was like walking on your hands, like carrying sandbags. Comes outside. He's like about to die. He's like, I got a confession. I'm like, what the hell's this guy? He's about to tell me.
Priest.
Yeah. So then he's like, I haven't been working out in a while, and he's like, I don't know about this right now. I don't feel so good. And I'm like, do I got to call 911? What the hell's going on? Because like I just started this certification, and you're telling me you can't make it. So I used to remember like unique kind of people coming in that were like, dude, I don't think I could handle this kind of training.
Yep.
So listen,
these times are really difficult.
Very interesting times.
But they produce a mental perseverance. You know, I follow Jocko Willink pretty closely. I'm sure you do too.
Yes.
You know, he's very inspiring. But you know, hard times make hard people. I think we can come out of this more united as an American people and better for it. You know, we have to view this situation as a difficult one, but it's one that we can improve from, certainly.
It's been, for me, I have dinner with my family every night. My wife and I take a walk after dinner every night. I mean, as a coach, you don't get to do that stuff a lot because you're working the evenings. So it's actually been very, very good for me. We gone a while, dude. We're going to have to definitely do like part 2 through 10.
Cool, yeah.
But, anything that you wanted to talk about that I forgot or we forgot about? Anything?
No, I'll just remind people where they can find us. We're at Garage Gym Reviews on all social media, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Our website, Garage Gym Reviews. We have a home gym community Facebook group. It's called Home Gym Community. And just stay abreast. Yeah, stay abreast to the website. We got a lot of cool things that are going to be launching, some new features, some ways for the community to interact. Just some things that I've been working on for the past 2 years that are finally coming to culmination, and we're going to launch within this year. So I'm really excited about it.
I need to get over to the website more. I'm a follower of the YouTube and Instagram, but I need to dig into the website. I did go onto the website not long ago for like the de-rusting of the barbells, and I can't remember what else I was looking for, but I think I was like searching up like the best. I can't remember what it was, but I was on your website, and you're right. Some of the links or products no longer exist from those companies.
Yep.
You know, it may have been Titan. I remember the big thing with Titan was they took forever to ship. They were taking forever to ship. But then there's things like I used one of their Swiss bars at a local gym last year. It was great.
Oh yeah, they've improved, dude. And that's one thing I told them. I was like, you guys listen to feedback and you guys try to improve it. You know, there's a lot of companies that their head's so far up their own butt that they're like, we don't need to improve anything. You know, it's good. You know, but Titans realized, you know, we don't know everything, so we're going to take feedback, try to improve it, and release a version 2.0. So I applaud them for that. Certainly.
Yeah. Where are they located? Do you know?
They're in Memphis, Tennessee.
Okay, there's a couple places in Tennessee. I think.
Yes, there are.
Is Arsenal?
They're all from like the same. They all cohabitate. They've all got a lot of same employees. Arsenal's there. Freight Fitness is there. Legend is there. Titans there. Dynamax maybe there.
Who did whoever Big House is with now? Is that Dynabody? Dynamax?
Dynamic Fitness. Dynamic, I think Dynamic Strength. They may be there. I'm not sure about them.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
man, dude, craziness.
Yeah, well, look at Ohio too. Ohio, you know, you have West Side, Rogue, you have Elite, then you got like Winning Strength. I mean,
we didn't talk about winning. Do you have Matt's belt squat?
I don't. No, I'd love to. I've used it,
Smooth
but I haven't been able to use it enough to do like an in-depth review.
All right,
it's a cool piece.
So I had when I was at Rutgers, we ordered a ATP from West Side.
Okay.
Put it in the wrestling room because I wanted the guys, if they were injured, I wanted guys to be able to do marching, an all-in-one thing. Then when we had nationals that were in Cincinnati, I told Matt, Matt, I'm just going to drive out. I'm going to train with you at your gym, and then I'll go from your place, Columbus, to Cincinnati. So I used his squat, and I was like, all right, this thing is smooth as butter. And I said, what do I want in my gym? Do I want to be able to march in place and do other exercises? Because the squat on the ATP, it pulls you forward a bit. It's hard to get full depth. And I said to myself, what is my main goal? And what do I want our kids to be able to do? And I said, I need them to squat. You know, marching in place and all these things, I love it. But I was like, if I'm putting my money on the squat, and then, so I used the squat at Matt's place, and I can't remember if I did any rowing on it that day. I think I probably did. I probably tested it out. He had an intern there who was, taking me through some of the stuff, and I was like, all right, man, I love it. So then I was like, Matt, let's just set up a seminar at my gym, and you drive the thing out here. And lucky for me, my one gym, my neighbors on both sides are machine shop guys. They have lathes. So when I need, like, filling a keg with water, they cut me almost like a silver dollar, stainless steel. One guy welds it. I fill it with sand. I know. So they helped me put the thing in. So I've used mats. I've used the Pit Shark when I was at Rutgers. And
have you used Rogues?
I have not used Rogues. Is Rogues on the trolley? Is it on a cable?
Yeah, it's a Rhino. It's a trolley. It's very similar to ATP. Have you used the Squat Max MD?
No, but I've seen Donnie use it.
Yep. So the Squat Max MD, in my opinion, out of all the ones I've used, is the best for purely squatting. It feels the most comfortable. It's gravity based. It feels like you're just squatting naturally. There's no forward pull, nothing like that.
I think
for
Dean
versatility,
is making a platform for them. Dean Chance.
Yep. Correct. Yeah, a higher one, so they have a narrower stance. But the one that I think is the most versatile is either the ATP or the Rogue Rhino. They're just, cable based. It's not as great for squatting, just squatting.
Yes.
But there's more you can do with it, marching, that sort of thing. But without a doubt, Winning's belt squat, his back attack version, those sort of things, they're sweet pieces. Yeah, he's doing a good job.
Well, I think the original back attack, I don't know if Sorinex made it or
Westside.
Sorinex.
That's right. Sorinex.
They don't sell it as much. Matt has a very specific, niche people. So the other thing about the Wenning belt squat is you could load it completely uneven. You don't feel it. I've done split squats on it, which feel good. I haven't done any tricep work. I do a lot of the Rolling Thunder one-arm row on it.
Yep.
And I even do some calf work just to keep my ankles and all that, and my knees going. So for me, it was a big investment as an independent gym owner.
Yep.
When you're at a university, they're building $10+ million facilities. So for me, I'm very careful. If I get anything next, believe it or not, I would get new squat racks at my gym because the guy who installed my squat racks into the ground installed them kind of crooked, and it's making me nuts.
Oh, really?
They're off an inch and a half. Like this. So sometimes if a kid who's inexperienced benching kind of hits it, and I also want, I like, we have jammer arms at my one location with the Sorinex racks, and I like all of that power work for the athletes. And so having the Westside R3 racks, you can add on the jammer arms.
Yeah, I think people are realizing that, what happens is people get in on the ground floor as cheaply as possible, and then they upgrade over time. Having the erector set rack with the 1-inch holes, 3x3, it can take any accessory. Honestly, that's the way to go. It's an open source platform that you can add anything you want.
Yeah,
I agree.
The 3x3. So, all right, garage gym reviews on everything. And man, Coop, we have to do an American Pickers trip. We'll take Big House with us.
I would be down, dude. I would be down. That'd be awesome.
I know. And now is the time, really, because everything is closed and everybody's selling stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel like there has to also be a little punishment for these people selling a crappy barbell for $500. Slap them around. It's gonna be like Sopranos meets American Pickers.
Okay, we'll bring Donnie. Donnie can help with that.
That would be great. So listen, I had a great time with you. Everybody listening, when you go over to ZachEvanesh.com, I will link everything up. But basically, Garage Gym Reviews is where you'll find Coop and all of the information. I love it. Coop, hang tight. I'm going to shut it down.
Great. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.